Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start because I like to start at the top of the hour. We have a lot to cover. I'm very excited about this, but welcome everyone to another installment of an interactive Q&A. I am Lisa Apolinsky, content coach and America's digital content futurist. And I think this is probably one of the most futuristic things that we're going to talk about in a while. And that is using AI for content creation. I'm going to point out, you see something that says Lisa's assistant on the thing. I don't have as an assistant. This is an AI. I'm using read.ai. It records all of my sessions. It transcribes all of my sessions. And then it also does a summary of what was discussed on the call. Amazing. I do have to edit it a little bit, but puts it into a dashboard. I send it out to anyone who participated. So I use this for both my one-on-one group coaching and my group coaching sessions. It has a summary, it has action items, and I send it out and people have a full recording, the entire transcript, and a summary, and it's done all in real time. And I can just edit it and send it out within 10 minutes of being done with the call. So AI is coming a long, long way. It's kind of crazy what it can do today. So when I looked at doing this talk, I actually went in and I asked ChatGPT to help me write my presentation, which was actually really interesting. And I asked ChatGPT, what are the most important things I should be covering on a webinar about AI and creating content? And it gave me all the information. Now I did edit it a little bit and I verified, and we'll talk about that, but you can use AI for quite a few things. So what is AI? It's trained on all the data that's out in the internet, and it generates human-like responses to the prompts that you give. So it's based in language, the language that is out there on the internet. It gathers and it goes through an algorithm to be able to basically reflect that information back to you. And the idea around AI is it gets better over time as it has more interactions, as it has more interactions with you and others. As it gains more understanding of what you're looking for, it can change and move through that sophisticated language processing. The one thing I put in here is it is wide and broad. It has a massive amount of data that is very, very shallow. So it knows a lot of stuff, and it knows just a little bit about a lot of stuff. So you have to keep that in mind. You are still the SME, the subject matter expert. It can help you with some of the content, but it doesn't take away from your years, decades of experience that you have. And that's why I think it's a great tool to be your assistant and helping you rather than taking over what you do. It may start to get deeper, but right now there's so much information and it has access to everything, and it can only go so far with that information in order to be able to leverage it back. So what are we using AI for when we create content? I think there are three key things that we're looking at that we can use it to help us be better writers, more consistent writers, more efficient writers. First of all, it helps you with possibility. It creates content generation in the form of possibility. So if you're thinking about an idea around a topic for your website, for a blog post, for social media, for appearing on a podcast, it can actually help prep you for that. And Jess, I'm thinking about you on this one. It helps you to hone in on that generation ideology and possibility. It also helps improve that productivity and efficiency. It's like having 1,000 people that you can ask, if I want to talk about this subject, what would be a good title for that? That's catchy and is 5 words. And it basically is going to give you a whole bunch of responses as if there were 20 people in the room with you thinking and going, well, what about this or what about that? And it also helps you if you take your content and put it in to whatever AI system you're using. Mel talked about Baird, there's Bing, there's ChatGPT. It helps to enhance that content quality. You could actually take an article and put it in and say, make this a little funnier or make this more professional. I actually saw a meme on LinkedIn where they had taken a really kind of mean, nasty email that they wanted to send about, wait until the last possible second to ask me to do this work, you beep a beep. I'm about to go on vacation. What's wrong with you? And put it into ChatGPT and said, please make this more professional. And what came out, you knew what the original content was, and it was hilarious because it was this, I'm very sorry to inform you that I will be unable to meet your request due to circumstances that were just hilarious. You can use it for that too. If you want to put in a real nasty email that you'd love to send to someone and just say, can you make this more professional and have them pump it out? And you knew what the gist of what you were saying was, but it puts it in a very professional third person proper type of content. I think that's an area that sometimes we miss. We think of the AI content is about creating instead of taking what maybe we've already written. And you can use this then for repurposing. Let's say you have some content that you have for a blog or a social media post, and you want to repurpose it for, let's say, a different audience. You can ask it to look at your content and put in, I'd like to change this where it's in bullet point format, and it's for this specific group. And it'll help you to repurpose your content. I love that. And as an aside, there is also another AI platform called Opus, OPUS.pro. If you have a long form video like this one, I can put it into Opus.pro and it will decide which segments make sense for shorter videos, and it will crop it for me. Again, it's all about efficiency, all about repurposing, all about being more productive, more efficient, and still having quality content. So we're not trading quality content or content that has value to be able to pump out more. I'd rather that you take the time and create content with value and use this to enhance it or to make it a little bit better or to generate a new idea. So that's how we want to be using AI in the world we live in today. So that being said, how can I use AI to add value to my content? First and foremost is getting good at prompting. Prompting is key. What you ask for is what you're going to get. So the more specific I can be, the more targeted I can be, anything that can help the system understand what it is that I need up front will make the reiterations a lot faster. If I know that I'm looking for a title with 5 words that is a certain subject, that is for a certain audience, that I'm going to use for generating more interest in my article, and I know all of that, I should be telling my AI prompt all of that information. When I did this presentation, I said, I need 4 slides, 3 bullets each, that goes through 3 different aspects of AI creating content for business owners. I mean, I got real specific, and it was able to follow that, and it helps narrow things down. If you start off generic, you're going to get a bunch of stuff that maybe you don't want. And then you'll have to go through reiteration after reiteration. If you can get very specific from the get-go, think about, who am I targeting? What format do I want it to be in? How am I going to use it? And is there any kind of defining characteristic, like a 5-word title or 5 bullet points or an article that's 300 words, and get really specific around that? It will be very, very helpful in getting through the prompting faster. Otherwise, you might go down a rabbit hole and you're going to waste time. The second thing we want to do is we want to still add our business brand DNA. Like I mentioned earlier, you are the SME, you are the subject matter expert. You have experience, client success stories, your journey that can be inserted, can be woven into the content that you create so that it becomes unique to you. There are actually 2 things that are up for debate right now that I'm hearing all over. Number one, what happens if the answers get repeated and you have something that's similar to somebody else because there's only a certain amount of content available, or it repeats itself? That's number one. And number 2, who owns the content that is created by AI? Haha, probably haven't thought about that. If I'm pulling from a bunch of different sources, do I have to cite those sources? Do I have to, put something on it to say that it's mine?
The dog's here and I brought it inside the door. Can you bring it in for me?
Oh,
I thought that was Irma. It's my Zoom call. I was rushing back here.
Monica, I think you went off of mute for a second. Somebody's off of mute. I'm not sure who that is. Okay. So when we're, and I'm sorry, I still hear somebody. I'm not sure who was not on mute. I can't see.
Amber.
Oh,
there
Amber.
you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So when we are looking at the content, if we take it as our rough draft, our very first edition foundation, and we modify it so that we are weaving in our stories, we are weaving in our experience, we are weaving in our own insights into the content itself, and showing it as a thought leadership piece, I think both of those items tend to go away, especially around who owns the content. If you've taken it and you've modified it and now it's something very different, just like if you bought ingredients for a dinner and you've made something completely new with those ingredients, it becomes your signature dish. This can become your signature content. So we want to really think about that step of how we are adding in our experience, our thought leadership, and actually thinking about, how am I creating value for the people that I'm creating this for? I'm not writing it for a search engine. I'm writing it for the audience that will find value in my community so that I can help them go from where they are now to where they want to be. That's why we create content, because we want to always provide value. We want to be relentlessly helpful. And then the last item is, you got to fact check like your life depends on it. And they now have a disclaimer on ChatGPT that it will sometimes give you bad information, incorrect information, information that is biased because of what is pulled. You can ask whatever platform you're on when they pull the information to source it for you, so you can look and see what sources they've used. If you want to get really particular and you don't want to have access to everything, you could say only source these 5 areas. If there's a specific journal or publication for your industry, that makes sense. You could say, I'd like to have some of that information sourced from this source. But make sure that you look at it and you're putting it through your own prism of understanding and experience based on what you know. And, look at it again as that foundational element. And if it doesn't smell right or you don't quite agree, that's okay. You can ask it further questions. You can ask it to dive into a certain bullet point and provide more information with the sourcing. Just as if you were asking an assistant who pulled this information as a research project. I'm curious about bullet number 2. Can you tell me a little bit more about what this means or how you found this information? And it'll pull it for you because it doesn't care. It's AI. All right. Well, I talked for a little bit and I want us to start playing. I want us to start getting into AI and start playing. If that sounds good to everybody.
Lisa, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So you reference the ability to be able to identify the source of the material, and I haven't really tapped into that. But it by default, simply if you ask a question, gives you, a bunch of information about a bunch of topic, which off the top of my head says there's no bibliography, there's no crediting. You're just harvesting information out there. You could use the term you're plagiarizing a whole host of folks out there, but not giving them credit. So what I'm a little curious about the ethics of that as I'm using it, because I don't want to use someone else's information in their voice, I mean, but I'm just, so what are the thoughts about that?
Absolutely. So one of the ways that I always write, and I think you can do this with AI as well, because again, you can ask it to source every single point that it makes, and it will source every single point that it makes. And then you could go into, and it'll actually give you the URL. You can click on it and look at it and see if the rest of it makes sense, and then decide what and when you're sourcing. If it to me is a premise, a fact of what I'm writing, and it's the foundation of what I'm writing, or it's an element that I think is important, I will always source it. If I am doing a thought piece and I'm saying, I don't agree with this, or this was really interesting, I still source it. But that's where your expertise comes in, Mel. You want to then take that, and that's your starting point, but then you're going to actually talk about the rest of it. And that's where that DNA comes in, that information and that guidance. And it shouldn't be any different than what you're doing now or what you have done for decades. I mean, to me, you're one of the first people I knew that was a regular blogger and did leadership pieces based on your experience in the trade show industry. So to me, it's just another tool. And I think you should still practice the same idea around sourcing important pieces of information and then providing your take on those pieces of information.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great question. Let me stop. That was a great question. Anybody else have a question? Just go ahead and unmute and ask before we start getting into, and again, I'm using ChatGPT just because I'm used to it. That doesn't mean that Bear doesn't work or Bing doesn't work. Everyone's catching up, and you can test all three if you'd like to. Everything's free right now. Use it all. Who knows how long that will last? Does anybody have a question before we start playing around a little bit?
Hi, Lisa.
No? Oh, hey there.
Thanks
Hey,
for
Jessica.
doing this. Nice to
Absolutely.
see you.
Nice to see you.
Someone mentioned to me about plugins. Have you had any experience with these plugins?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, we can just go with that one first. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, sure. So WordPress also has gotten on the bandwagon. So has other platforms where it's a plugin that will help you generate content using AI. It's already kind of baked into the page builder, like Elementor. And And it's leveraging the same, because everything's open source right now. So everyone's kind of repeating what everyone else is doing. It's a great tool to use. Again, you need to review it first and foremost with your prompting. And you have to think about where on the website page you are creating it. Are you using it for your H1, your header one, that gets crawled by search engines, and so should be succinct and should have something that people go, I know what that page is for? Is it your H2, which is your header 2, which backs up your header 1 and gives a little more information? Or is it your copy itself? Are there a certain number of words that you want to use? Are there keywords that you want to use? You can put all that into your prompting. Be sure to use this keyword 3 times. I mean, you can actually get that specific. I personally like to freeform write when I'm doing website copy. It's just, to me, it's easier. And I have a creative way that I do it. But I have tested it for body copy, and it comes back with something. It's never perfect. And then I take it and then I modify it and I insert that brand DNA from whoever I'm working with. And I think about, what is their brand purpose? Why were they created? AI is not going to know that. They're not going to know the backstory. They're just going to create content based on a host of other stuff that's out there. And I want to make sure that the content on this website is really unique to that business and that brand journey. So, but that's a great question. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've used it a lot. It's actually really, really awesome. At least I can back you up on that. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have it embedded right now. We've started messing around with it already.
Oh, that's fantastic, Amber. That's fantastic. Awesome. All right. So let's have a little fun. I'm going to just share I'm going to just share the whole thing. Let's go crazy. Okay. So there's one thing that I do want to point on for ChatGPT. I also use playground.ai. It's another image tool. If you use DALL-E, you can actually type in, I'd like to create an image of a Siamese cat surfing on a white surf. Like, you can get that specific and it will create something for you. It's pretty hilarious. And if you're looking for additional things to put into your social media posts or your blogs or your emails, it's kind of a fun tool. I mean, it's AI generated, so it does have that, a little bit of that AI feel to it, but it's still fun. Playground.ai, you take an image and you could use this, like if you have I was messing around with one of my pictures that my realtor took of my living room, because I didn't like the lighting that she did. And I was asking it to, add, lighting, in this room that faces west at, like I gave it those types of specific language. Please add lighting coming through the window that faces west at 3 p.m. Chicago time in the middle of summer. And it actually cast a different light glow based on all of that information. It's kind of crazy the things you can come up with. And again, the more specific you get, the better it's going to be. So that's just something else to kind of keep in your back pocket. Okay. So as you can see, it gives examples, it gives capabilities, and it gives the limitations now. May occasionally generate incorrect information, may produce harmful instructions or biased content. I'm glad that it's saying that, because everyone kind of saw that was happening, and now we know. So I would like to open it up to the floor and we'll do this exercise together. Does someone have something that they'd like to create that they haven't tried before in ChatGPT to create some content? And we'll actually talk through it. Anyone want to volunteer? Anybody?
I'll be happy to volunteer. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thank you, Jess. Okay. So everyone, I just want to introduce Jess really fast. So Jess runs a company called Go Roam, which is awesome. She helps businesses use technology so that they can run their business from anywhere they want and never have to worry about, do I have a Wi-Fi signal or is this going to look bad? Her technology and the software and the hardware that she provides and the assistance that she provides makes it so that you can be anywhere really in the world being able to work and connect and have conversations. So thank you, Jess, for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to be using Jess sooner rather than later when we start to be a little more nomadic, because I want to make sure that all my systems are up and running and I'm not tethered to my desk in my office. All right, Jess, I am ready. So let's talk about some of the content we could create for you. First of all, oh, go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
What type of content are you looking to create? Is it a social media post? Is it a blog article? Is it an email?
I would love to craft an email. Okay. Let's do an email because I've used it a little bit for blog stuff. So I'm working on that, but you said something new. So let's try for email.
Okay. So I'm going to say create an email with both a subject and copy that is no more than 200 words. You can always limit it. What would you like to create it on?
On the importance of having more than one internet connection while you travel.
Oh.
I think that one.
Yeah. Target, I'm going to say executives.
Yes.
And use a professional tone. What else do I want to say? So I talked about who I'm targeting. Oh, source.
Oh, yes, please do that.
Points, any data points. Include pre-bulleted tips on how to add an internet connection. Let's see what it does with this.
Yeah, let's see. I might have to change it to wireless or something, but let's see. Yeah. Let's see what it says.
Okay. This should be fun. Ooh. Wow. Fancy.
I know, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
now
and
let it do
add
the whole
extra
thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. So it saves my chat up here, so I can always go back to it, which is awesome because I might want to revisit this. Let's go back up. Now this is a little long and we probably want to cut it down, but that's okay. So it gives us our subject. Now, Mel, I want to ask you this question. So for whatever reason, when I ask ChatGPT for either a title or a subject for an email, it always does a short thing with a colon and then the rest of it. And I don't know why it does that. It always defaults to that. And it makes me a little bananas because I don't write that way. And
it does it for my blog, even the H2s as well. Everything comes that way.
Yeah. And I tried to tell it, don't add a colon. And it's like, I don't understand. So I just take it and I'm like, I can correct it the way I want. So, okay. All right. Thanks, Jamie. Okay. So it gives an intro, which is okay. Let's look at the bullet points. So redundancy of uninterrupted productivity. Oh, And look at that. It gave me sources too, which is fantastic. And it included them in
Yeah.
the thing. Now I'm going to ask it for bullet number 1, please share actual URL source
Hmm.
for Cisco data point. Let's see what it does. Ah, interesting. So it's telling me I can't source it, but you can go find it someplace else. Now,
Right, it's
Mel,
saying-
this is where Baird kicks ChatGPT's ba-boop, ba-boop.
Mm.
I know Baird will actually list the source if you ask it to. It'll pull up the actual URL because I've done it before, and so does Bing. So, point 1 for Baird. Yay! But I know in other things it does pull up the sources, so that's interesting.
I think it depends on where the information came from, right? So like in
Yeah.
this instance, Cisco probably uploaded a whole bunch of information, right?
Right, right.
For that stuff. I think
Yeah.
because I have
Yeah.
seen it. I've done some blog posts where I asked for I don't know, I was doing some research. Like it saves me so much research time for that in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
can just fact check to make sure it's right. But it did
Right.
cite for me some historical stuff when I asked it where it got that info from, because it wasn't something I'd ever found.
Right, right. And this is where I would have Baird or Bing open, and then I would put what it said to search on, because it actually tells you what to search on.
Mhm.
Cisco study on internet connectivity disruptions. It actually gives you the language that you can search on. But Mel, this is where I would want to have that link, because I'd want to look at the study and just see if there's anything about it that might be questionable, or there might be something else in there that's better in, showing my my point than what was picked by AI.
I just feel like at some point legally, a law will be passed that will say under AI, whatever searches you have in AI, it has to list the sources for that information. That is not something that you have to do a second step. It becomes part of
Right.
that step itself, because it makes me uncomfortable having that information. But if you don't go to
Yeah.
the extra step, then it just
It could be made up.
it's icky. Yeah, it's icky
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. Or it could be interpreted one way and it could have been interpreted a different way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's quite possible that AI will learn that we're looking for these sources and it'll start to do it.
Yeah.
Because again, it's getting smarter every time we interact with it, which should scare everyone. Robot uprising.
Be nice to the machines.
That's right. That's right. So Ellen Merco did a talk a couple weeks ago about ChatGPT, and one of the things that she did, and I was wondering why she did this, I think I kind of figured it out. She would say, "This looks great, and thank you. Would you be able to dive a little deeper into bullet point number 3?" And I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, why are you praising and thanking AI? It's AI. And then I thought about it. This is based on natural language. If that is your natural language to use, and that is how you interact with AI, it will learn that, and it will start to interpret and incorporate some of that natural language into the responses. So it is a subconscious way of helping AI to generate content. And I'm kind of curious to see if it will get to the point where it will recognize your IP address, let's say, and knows these are the kinds of things that you asked for. These are, this is your natural language, and will start to reflect that back to you. If that happens, I think everyone should be very afraid. I would be freaking out. That'll freak me out. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, can I add something?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm too lazy and into how to write email. So what I do is there's some people that write good email, some marketer that write good email to that comes to my inbox. So what I do, I will just copy those good emails and go to ChatGPT and let the AI copy the style. Frequent enough, the AI recognize the person who wrote the email. So there's this guy called Franken. I don't know if you know about Franken. And
Yep.
I receive email from him all the time. So I told ChatGPT to copy his way of writing his email, and I save it using the name. So I use a conventional name to save his style and tone of writing his email. So from that point on, what I tell ChatGPT is copy this. I mean, assume you are Frank Kern and use his tone and way of writing email to write me this email about this specific topic. And it has been really good.
That's brilliant, Danny. I think that's, yeah, I love that, to be able to, I like how this is worded. I like this tone. I like how this is written. I want to write an email that's similar to this tone, and then saving it as, this person's tone. And then you can start referring to that. That's ingenious. Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm
Because
hoping, Danny, that you're still taking down that email and still injecting a little bit of your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
ChatGPT only write me in blank what I need, and then I insert whatever thing that I want to add to the email to make it to personalize it to myself.
Yes. Yes. It's very similar. So back in the day before all of this, when I was working at Fortune 500s, one of the things that I would do to help my sales team, especially people who felt like they couldn't write emails, is we would have email templates where we would write out copy, but we would tell them, add something here, add something here, add something here, take it and modify it so that it's more of your tone. But make sure you're hitting this point, and this point. And they loved it. And this is just a souped up version of that, where you could take an email and say, write it like this, but cover this, this, and this, and it'll pump something out for you, which is pretty cool. And you can regenerate a response. I don't like to regenerate the response and see what else comes back. If there's something that I didn't like within the content itself, I go back and say, I would like you to take, point 3 and change it to talk about this. Or, if there's something where I was like, it's not exactly what I was looking for, I just give it that feedback and go back through it. So Jess, let's look at these 3 points. Is this something of what you think are important, or are there other points for having that second internet connection that maybe ChatGPT missed?
Well, it doesn't really talk about it doesn't talk about the like my magic, which is called SD-WAN, right? It doesn't really talk about that piece of it. So I might say, I might ask it to determine, how SD-WAN can make number 2 a lot easier or something like that.
Okay.
Are you following me?
Yeah.
All right, my dog is being a brat as well, of course.
That's all right.
Since I'm unmuted, she's gonna bark like a crazy thing. This is what we're doing, okay? Does this make you happy?
Oh, and it's a pug too. I knew there was another reason why I loved you, Jess. That's it. Okay,
this is
so
Scotty, the adventure pug.
Oh my God, so cute. Scotty, the adventure pug. So I'm writing, can you take bullet point 2 and modify how SD-WAN can make increased security and reliability easier to obtain? Yeah. Easier to do.
Easier to do.
Let's see what it does. Oops, come back. Oh, wow. So it probably going to give you way more information than you need, and that's okay.
Yep.
Because you can pick and choose. It also tends to do this. It will give you way more information than you think is relevant, and then you can just kind of mess with it. Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I might replace that second bullet with something more about SD-WAN stuff instead, since that's specifically what I use to make my life easier.
Right. Or now it's giving you email number 2 if you wanted to drill down into one of the bullet points. Haha.
Very true.
And it's also giving you a social media post. Oh, and by the way, it's also giving you some information and structure so that you could write a blog article or a video, or if you're being interviewed on a podcast, you can bump through these four points if you want to make sure that you're covering certain things. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. I know. Now it says something on the bottom here. There you go. Consultant SD-WAN solution provider for specific details that align with your. So it does give the disclaimer, which is hilarious. I'm not an expert, but I play one on TV. Okay. That's awesome.
I slept at what is that, Holiday Inn Express or something? What was that commercial I did years ago?
Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah. So again, it's a lot of information. And then this is interesting. It also gave you, because you added that extra thing in, again, it's going to dump a bunch of information on you at once, and you can take it down and then cut it up into different pieces. It can give you, fodder for, oh, I could do a blog article just on that, or I could do a video, or I could dole out this information into a carousel on LinkedIn. It gives you a lot of different things that you can do. And I love this traveling with these tips. Invest in a mobile hotspot device. Okay, leverage local SIM cards, utilize a VPN. And those are kind of basic, but you could put that in. This could be one of the other things that I like to have my clients do if they're doing a webinar, is they send out, if they want to, and I do this with my coaching clients, they get a one-pager that has a little more information, or it shows the information in a slightly different way. This could be one of your one-pagers.
Mm-hmm.
Practical tips for adding an extra interconnect connection. Boop, boop, boop. And it's something that they go, oh yeah, that's really helpful. And they have it saved.
I like to, I'll point out in this, on that B point there where it says leverage local SIM cards, because it's pulling global information. It's not as relevant to those here in the US, because we buy a device that has a SIM card in it for the most part.
Right.
And that's connected to one kind of carrier, but across the world, right, you can just go to whatever country you're in. If there's not great Wi-Fi, and be like, I just need to get a SIM card and throw it in there. Right. So that's a global reference, and not restricted to the way that Americans use this kind of technology. So I think that's even better. And
you could reorder it then, where you have the mobile hotspot, virtual private network, if you want to level up. And then if you're international, for international travelers, you can leverage a local SIM card. And maybe you have links to, where they can find information about a VPN, or more information about, how they can use a SIM card, like how they switch it out when they're international. Because I'm sure there are either videos or articles on doing that. And you could link that in here too, where you're again pulling in other information that your audience might find valuable, that helps them kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit more. And this may not be your area of expertise, but you did a little research and you're providing a little more information to them so that they'd be able to, be like, wow, this is fantastic. And it was all sorts of information I could use, not just one thing. Awesome.
Thank you.
Love it.
Hey, Lisa, would you be willing to switch and do an image generator?
I sure would. Let me stop sharing. Do you want to do? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. So once you get up, I'll tell you what I'm
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't used this yet, so this is going to be super fun. Yes, and Jessica, I can copy that prompt if you'd like me to. It's very, do you want to see how to do it, or do you just want it? Or both? Oh, you know what? I don't have to. It's going to be in the transcript.
That's what I was gonna
Okay,
say. I'm
cool.
just gonna
Yeah.
wait for the transcript.
It's
Okay,
going to
cool.
be in
Yeah,
the
I was just
transcript. Yeah,
great.
but good
Okay, I
question.
just wanted to see what you wrote in there, but if either way is fine.
It copies everything, including, because we were saying it in real time. So yeah,
Okay.
look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let me share. Okay. So let's do Dolly. And let's see what happens. Yes.
I
Let's
hope
see
we're
what
going to
I-
create a picture of a pug.
All right. All right. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. So I recently published a blog post, a humorous blog post with the title, "A Trade Show Exhibitor Walked into a Bar." And it was difficult to find images. So basically I wanted 5 images on the topic of a trade show exhibitor in the United States walks into a bar. Say 5 humorous images.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see what happens. Generate. Oh,
Yeah.
is it going to make me? It's going to make me buy credits.
Oh, well, I don't want you to do that.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's see
Yeah.
if we can do it in Playground.
Yeah. So you'll have to correct the spelling of humorous.
Oh, yeah, that would be helpful. I wonder if it would be able to do it anyway. Let's go into
Probably.
Playground.
Probably.
Let's try it there. This could be fun.
Yeah, that's just so specific as far as, yeah, what I'm looking for, that it was, I couldn't use a normal image bank to find something.
Right, right. Yep. I understand that. Okay. Let's see. So this is Playground AI. I know I have an account in here, so let's see if it'll find it. Go. I will use this. And I will correct the humorous. Okay. So help me spell humorous. Humor?
Yeah.
Humorous. Okay. Let's see what it does. It's not really humorous.
No, but it's okay. But it gave you 1, not 5.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Okay.
Let's generate again, see what it does. Well, that's interesting. It did a bar on a trade show floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me try one other thing. Image in a cartoon setting of a trade show exhibitor walking into a bar, include having a badge and briefcase. Let's see what it does.
Wow.
And this is what I'm saying. You have to get really specific. Well, that's interesting. So as you can see, you just have to, you get more and more and more specific, and you see what it generates. It's getting closer. Now those are trade show attendees.
Thank you, Lisa. That
Yeah.
that gives me an idea of how to work that now. I appreciate that.
Let's try that. Maybe that would be funnier. They're walking around with a lot of drinks. Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
So we're getting closer, right?
Yep.
So it's just, there's, again, it's just the prompting is the most important thing, I think. The more specific you are, and if you have, like, if you had an idea in your head of what that image should look like, I'm going to put if I want to see her, like, oh, it didn't do it. That's weird. Let's regenerate again.
Is background AI free too?
These people all look so serious.
I know. But that's how you can play with it, Mel. Like, you could say, if you wanted them to be, holding 5 bottles of beer.
Maybe if you added laughing, like they just heard
Yeah.
a joke or something like that.
Yeah. Let's see if that does it. Oh, I put pace in. Oh, sorry. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's creepy. That's pretty creepy. That's not good at all.
For a
Oh,
meme.
that's kind of
that's
cool.
better. Yeah, cool.
This is good. This is
Yeah,
good.
so you just have to play and play and play and play. And like, if I saw that, I would say, put a beer
I never
in
used
each
this.
hand. Like that. Like, maybe she's holding 2 beers. And this is free. So you'd be able to use this because you created it. The longer it takes to generate, I was told, oh my, there you go, Mel. Lots of beers. So I was told the longer it takes to generate, the better, because you've been more specific and it's incorporating all of these different aspects into the generation of the photo, to make it more of what you want. If it's done in 2 to 3 seconds, it's probably not going to be what you want because it has very few data points to interpret and it fills in the rest. But that's actually a pretty good one, I think, right there, Mel.
Hey, Lisa, how do you download this image?
How do you download this image? So I think that's a very good question. So let's see if it's here. Here, import image right there at the top.
That's the. It is.
It's right at the top here, import image. You can import images, you can move it. You can, if you wanted to add stuff to it, you can, but you import it right here. So I can actually bring it down. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's to import an image in. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, and here's the number of images you can select, Mel, on the side. Let me see if I can save it
Yeah.
to my board. Oh, here, share. Excuse me, a little bit of a tickle in my throat. So I could send it to Mel to access, and then I can have anyone with the link copy the link. And then I believe I will, you know what, Danny, I'm gonna find out and I will let you know. Because that's a very good question. I thought we could just download it. But it's not letting me, which is interesting. And I think import image is to bring an image in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is it the share button?
Well, that'll share it, but then how do you actually download it? The question. I will find out. I will find out, Danny. That's a good question. Because it gives you everything else, so it's not letting me copy it, which is weird. But yes, I will look that up. Okay, awesome. So we are out of time. I hope this was helpful. We certainly are learning as we go, which is fantastic. That makes me super excited. Let's see if there's any. Oh, bye, Jamie. Before you go, one other thing that I want to share is we will have our next webinar. It is on Thursday, August 3rd. I will include a link to the webinar so you can sign up for VIP. Mike Martin is going to be joining me. He is with Focal Point Business Coaching. He is a certified business executive coach and trainer. And basically, his focus is connection and communication. So how are you communicating internally and with vendors to hit your business goals? And how are you creating that connection so that you are driving revenue and driving more free time and having the life that you want? And we're going to be talking about effective communication and content. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a fun webinar, and I'm going to copy the link and add it right now into the chat box for everyone if you want to register ahead of time. And I hope this was good. Thank you so much. Thank you for interacting. This was so much fun. And I'm going to figure out how to download that image, and I will let everybody know, because now I'm on a mission to figure it out. There's got to be an easy way to do it that I just haven't figured out yet. Watch Mel beat me to it and be like, oh, so easy. It was just this. It's probably right there and we just missed it. But thank you. I hope you were able to come to the next webinar on August 3rd and keep on creating. Thank you so much for attending.